Good afternoon and welcome to NTA Nationwide. I hope you enjoyed your Easter break. My name is Ronke Kolawole. Demand and supply of inputs for agricultural purposes have always been major challenges not only to farmers but also to government at all levels. Corruption, diversion, as well as middlemen phenomenon were also identified by key players as major issues affecting fertilizer supply before the present administration came on board in 2015. In this report, Musa Babaliyu takes a look at the initiative put in place by the present administration to ensure the availability of fertilizer to farmers at cheaper rate.
Farmers' inability to access fertilizer at ease and at affordable prices has been a major challenge to food security for decades in Nigeria. Apart from the scarcity and high cost of the product, stories of diversion and disappearance of trucks loaded with the input were always told by farmers. Though there were efforts by successive administrations in Nigeria to end corruption in the input supply through the introduction of growth enhancement scheme, but investigations show that the last administration left a debt of about 60 billion naira, which was paid by the Buhari administration in 3 tranches.
In the GES, you had 2 bags of fertilizer, maximum that a farmer got. A subsidy above 50% is always an incentive for corruption. It's always an incentive for corruption. And the challenge is that it's always the poor farmer that suffers.
Consequently, Presidential Fertilizer Initiative was introduced by the present administration with the objective of reviving all the fertilizer blending plants in the country to produce affordable inputs to farmers. Agreements were signed between the government of Nigeria and Morocco on the supply of phosphate to blenders who will produce fertilizer and sell at 5,500 naira.
Government was able to get major discounts by bargaining huge volumes in raw materials. That discount government got, it has pushed it into the price so that the farmers are the beneficiaries for it.
The presidential initiative that started with 11 blending plants in 2016 now has 15 plants, which has produced about 1 million tons of fertilizer. Farmers can now visit any of their agro dealer to purchase their fertilizer at ease, courtesy of Buhari-led administration.
Then you have the agro dealers that comes to the plants and buy the fertilizer and sell to the farmers. They buy from the plant at 5,000 naira. They have 500 naira margin to transport and to make their profits and sell to the farmer at 5,500.
We must all support programs like the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative.
As President Muhammadu Buhari himself put it, none of the 300,000 trucks of the fertilizer produced under the presidential initiative got lost or disappeared. So far, the administration has saved about 60 billion naira from the program. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the federal government says it will embark on a sensitization exercise to create the necessary awareness for Nigerians to imbibe the culture of consuming locally produced farm produce rather than patronize imported food items. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed handed down this advice during a media briefing in Lagos while chronicling the present administration's agricultural revolution success story. Anthony Forsin has the rest of the story.
When President Muhammadu Buhari launched the federal government Ankobora's agricultural scheme, it was in Kebbi State. It was the rice growers that were the target in that state. and today the story is one of a huge success. For instance, the minister made it point blank by reading out the story before now and where the country is in terms of rice production.
The country has never been close to self-sufficiency in rice. Our target is to achieve self-sufficiency in our paddy production in 2 years.
As of 2015, Nigeria imported 644,000 million metric tons of rice, which dropped to 20,000 by the year 2017 on account of President Muhammadu Buhari's agricultural policy to make food sufficiency a reality in Nigeria. The Anchor Borers program also gave the scheme a leap, with 11 million rice farmers having been gainfully engaged against the 5 million that existed in 2015. This projection has raked in an investment in the tune of 300 billion naira, alongside targeting another 250 billion naira upcoming investment. By implication, 500,000 jobs have been created. Thus, will see Nigeria saving about $300 million. Nigeria's rice importation bill hitherto put at $1.65 billion annually has dropped by over 90%, giving way to self-sufficiency in rice production. The target for now is to ensure that the gap is filled by the year 2020 under the President Muhammadu Buhari administration.
Let me put things in perspective. So far, less than 100 billion naira has been spent on the Anchor Borers programs that has achieved so much. Meanwhile, in April 2008, the then federal government had to quickly release 80 billion naira from the Natural Resources Development Fund to import 500,000 metric tons of rice in order to cushion what it said was the effect of a global disaster.
Rice production has in no small way created job openings. RIPAN, the nation's Rice Farmers Association, say 5,000 skilled jobs, 500,000 indirect employments, and hundreds of unskilled workers have been engaged. Smuggling on its part has received a definite blow.
Please note that the new investments were made when Nigeria was in recession, indicating investors' confidence in Mr. President and the Nigerian economy.
India and Thailand, which stood as the arrowheads of rice smuggling into Nigeria, have been crippled. Benin and Cameroon, which also remained as the gateway for rice smuggling into Nigeria, are presently licking their wounds on account of the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration's stand on the need to grow rice locally. Inputs into the production chain, such as fertilizer, has also received a boost. In all, Nigeria stands tall with its foreign exchange rating rising in the agriculture sector, given the federal government's deliberate efforts to diversify the economy. Anthony Forson, NTA News.
In the meantime, guests on Good Morning Nigeria are advocating more youth involvement in farming to boost production output this year. Speaking of the topic, preparation for 2018 planting season, the guest gave more insight into how farmers can maximize the benefits of NIMET's prediction of more rainfall this planting season. Serafina Okon has the details.
We have seen signs of preparedness of the Nigerian farmers. They are set, despite some of the challenges in terms of service provision.
One of the guests on NTA's flagship program, Good Morning Nigeria, speaking on how farmers can exploit this year's rainy season for better yields. The trigger for today's discussion on the topic, preparation for 2018 planting season, was the prediction of more rainfall by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET. The guests, including Professor Babagana Gambo, Head of Department of Crop Science, University of Maiduguri, Borno State, raised concerns about 2018 production output and appeals to the federal government for support.
So until and unless we now get a real and robust post-harvest mechanism whereby whatever the farmers produce are going to be mopped up either by the government or by other private sectors, members, or a kind of, there should be a kind of processing plant whereby whatever you produce, you take it up there, and then that is going to give the semblance of food security we're talking about.
The guests also advocates more youth involvement to boost food production outcome this season.
With the focus that government has shifted to making agriculture as a force to drive the diversification of the economy, we've seen agencies such as NIMED and the Ministry of Agriculture coming up with a robust information system.
I find out that the younger ones, the graduates, are now forming group. They are forming cluster, they are forming group, which they are now coming into agric because they see it as a profitable venture.
The guests commended NIMED for proactiveness and expressed the hope that farmers will receive the fertilizers on time this planting season. Serafina Okon, NTA News.
A bit of politics now. The All Progressive Congress APC has constituted a 10-man technical committee to look into the issue of tenure extension for national and state executive officers. The committee, led by Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State, has less than a week to submit its report. Salihu Abdullahi was there.
The February 27 decision of the National Executive Council to allow the current National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress to continue operating in acting capacity for a period of 1 year at the end of their tenure come June 2018 elicited different reactions within and outside the party, with some even seeking redress in courts. The position of President Muhammadu Buhari at the APC NEC meeting last week brought another dimension to the issue as the party responds to ensure that the issue is resolved promptly and amicably. A week after the NEC meeting, the party has constituted the technical committee to dissect resolutions of that meeting, the president's position, and the constitution of APC, as well as that of the country, to come up with a solution.
Because the issues that have been remitted to you for resolution are strongly legal and at the same time impacted dramatically by political considerations.
Chairman of the committee, Governor Simon Lalong, assured that all issues will be considered objectively in the interest of the party.
Because from both sides I see determination. I see a lot of courage, and I see that a lot of people are going to put in a lot of their industry to get the right conclusion to move this party forward.
The committee has governors of Oyo, Kaduna, and Ondo, as well as legal luminaries and members of the political party as members. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
This is Nationwide on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Lagos is our first port of call, and Elizabeth is standing by with reports making the rounds in that zone. It's always good to see you, Elizabeth.
It's nice to see you, Ronke, and a warm welcome to Lagos. Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has urged residents of voting age to obtain their voter cards so as to enable them exercise the franchise come 2019 general elections. The governor made a call when he commissioned 21 link roads and 2 bridges in Alimosho local government area of the state. Nosa Usula reports.
The roads which connect Lagos with Ogun State from Agbado Okeodo local council development area were fitted with walkways, drainage system, laybys, service ducts, lane marking and street lights. Governor Akinwumi Ambode disclosed that roads linking border communities to Ogun State will be given adequate attention to reduce travel time and open up economic activities in the axis.
You can take this alternative route and go all the way to Badagry, up to Badagry, without having anything to do with that axis.
With this road already completed, you can link Mozokwala, you can link Ayoboy Paja,
You can come down to Egedimu.
Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, Engineer Ade Akinsanya, said the newly rehabilitated roads will improve the quality of life, boost commerce and investment opportunities between Lagos and neighboring Ogun states. The connecting roads commissioned by Governor Ambode include Amikonle, Okofilin, Ogunsheye, Osenatu Ilo, Oluwasanya Igbeyadun, Isoto, and the dualized Ray Power Road at Alagbado. He also commissioned Ikola and Ayetoro bridges, which are at the boundary between Lagos and Ogun State. In Lagos, Nusa Osula, NTA News.
The Lagos State government has once again reiterated its commitment to make the waterways cleaner and safer with further investments and partnership. The Lagos State Governor, Akinwumi Ambode, made the pledge at the 2018 Lagos Boat Regatta in Ikoyi. Nusa Osula once again reports.
The governor, who was represented by his deputy, Dr. Idiat Adebule, assured residents that government will not waver in making the right investment in the coastline assets of the state to boost water transportation and tourism.
We have made a modest investment in a few boats to target tourism promotion in the state. Lagos Lagoon, most of Bahas, the busiest water route in West Africa.
The Commissioner for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Steve Ayorinde, noted that with the right investment and partnership, there are so much benefits that could be derived from the Lagos waterways.
Any coastal city is already blessed by God, and we'll be doing a disservice to ourselves and to that blessing if we do not explore, the potentials and the offerings that come with this being a coastal city.
The event, which held amidst glitz and glamour, featured search and rescue demonstration, water safety tips, boat cruise, traditional boat regatta parade, and display competition by 20 qualified boats from Badagry, Ikorodu, Ekpe, and Lagos Island, out of which 5 boats were eventually selected, while Agbawa Ikosi emerged overall winner. In Lagos, Nusa Osula, NTA News.
And that's a contribution from Lagos at this hour of an out to Ron Care for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Elizabeth. The National Assembly has introduced an annual open week as part of efforts to bridge the gap between the public and the legislature. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports.
The committee is saddled with the responsibility of planning the week-long event, which include an interactive session between trade unions and civil society organizations on accountability and service delivery, while judiciary will lead another session on pre- and post-elections adjudication and constitutional separation of powers.
This is an outlet that will afford us the opportunity to interact properly outside of our constituencies and senatorial districts with the public and various interest groups.
We should always be mindful that we are members of this great institution and want to leave it greater than we met it.
It's been a very frustrating experience in the years past trying to get the public to understand the workings of the National Assembly.
The Open Week will also bring to the fore ideas on the distinct roles of each arm of government in order to avoid conflict and ensure sustainable development. The National Assembly Open Week 2018 has the theme Advancing Inclusive Governance Through Legislative Openness. It focuses on the legislative process and democratic engagement towards ensuring proper relationship between the legislature and other arms of government, as well as legislature and the constituents. From the National Assembly, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
And still staying with the legislature, a bill for an act to establish the Federal Capital Territory Area Council Service Commission received majority support at a public hearing organized by the House Committee on FCT and Ancillary Matters. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim reports.
The Area Council Service Commission was established in 1990 during the military regime. Now it has become imperative for the Commission to be established by the Act of the National Assembly to have the force of law in its operations. The provision of the Establishment Bill is therefore seeking to provide for a legal framework for the regulation of employment and working conditions of the Area Council staff, with the view to professionalizing them. In a message, Speaker Ekubudogara emphasized the need to enhance the welfare of workers of the council areas under the FCT. The stakeholders in their submissions supported the intendments of the Establishment Bill. However, they pointed out areas of possible review, especially the composition of the board members.
We should make it six permanent commissioners, each member representing an area council. A representative of the workers is not on the board.
The committee members explained that Nigeria's constitution has provided guidelines to take care of that, but agreed to the argument that special consideration should be given to the area councils.
We have agreed with the stakeholders that there should be an act to establish the Area Council Service Commission so that we can have staff that are capable, who are ready to sacrifice themselves to work for the Area Council.
The members also demanded additional details to be submitted within 3 weeks. From the National Assembly, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
If you are just joining us, this is Nationwide on the largest TV network in Africa, the NTA. More reports after this break. Stay with us. Glad to know you're still watching Nationwide on NTA Network. Sultan of Sokoto on Zakat. These and more stories as we join Asmao in Sokoto studios. Hello Asmao, it's over to you.
Hello Ronke, good afternoon and welcome to Sokoto. Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar has requested for a comprehensive list of wealthy individuals in Sokoto State from the Zakat and Endowment Commission. The spiritual leader made the request at Gidamadi in Tangaza local government while distributing Zakat to the needy. Sheikh Muhammad Dati completes the report.
The Sultan was speaking at Gidamadi in Tangaza local government while distributing Zakat to the needy. The items distributed include cows, sheep, and 140 bags of millet as Zakat collected in Gidamadi district for the year 1438 after Hijrah, equivalent to 2017. Sultan Muhammad Saad frowned at the manner wealthy individuals gather over 50 needy to distribute cash as Zakat, which is contrary to the teachings of Islam. He said the Sultanate Council, Zakat Commission, and the Ministry for Religious Affairs is to organize a workshop for the listed wealthy individuals to remind them on the do's and don'ts, as well as significance of giving out Zakat as at when due. He admonished Islamic scholars to always preach the truth and inform the wealthy on how best to give out Zakat. Sokoto's Governor Amin Waziri Tambo, represented by the Commissioner for Religious Affairs Abdullahi Megondu, expressed delight with the effort of the Zakat Commission in the state. He pledged continued support to the Commission and the Sultanate Council towards ensuring that Zakat is collected from all the 86 districts of the state. Chairman of the Zakat and Endowment Commission, Muhammad Lawal Medoki, said the Commission will soon come up with Zakat and Work of Youth Volunteer Group in each of the districts of the state. This, according to him, is to further complement the work of the Commission and the Ministry for Religious Affairs. In Sokoto, Show Muhammad Datti, NTA News.
The Emir of Gondu, Alhaji Muhammad Ilyas Bashar, has called on parents to avail their children the opportunity provided by federal post-primary institutions in the state. Nuratan Kwakili reports that the Emir made the call when he visited Nigerian Army Command School in Jega. The report.
The Nigerian Army opened 2 secondary schools in Kebbi State for boys and girls to further enhance the education of children in the state. The girls' school is located in Birnin Kebbi, while the boys' school is located in Jega. Worried by the apathy of parents to send their wares to the schools, the Emir, who is a retired general in the Nigerian Army, saw it wise to enlighten the parents and encourage them to enroll their wares in the schools. Alhaji Muhammad Ilyas Bashar said, considering the facilities and manpower available at the schools, students enrolled in the school will have access to sound education. The emir expressed happiness over the performance of the student of the school in both academic and extracurricular activities. Earlier, the commandant of the school, Major Hamza Usman, reaffirmed commitment of the school to inculcate loyalty and hard work in the students for the attainment of moral and academic excellence. The commandant said the school is focused on sciences to meet the demands of modern society. He commended Kebbi State government and other relevant stakeholders for providing an enabling environment to the school and solicited for more support. During the visit, the emir inspected various sections of the school. In Birnin Kebbi, Nuratan Kwakili, NTA News.
Member representing Anka Talata Mafra Federal Constituency in Zamfara State, Alhaji Lawal Danya, has donated economic empowerment items worth millions of naira to women in his constituency. Wife of Zamfara State Governor Hajia Asmao Abdulaziz Yari, who performed the distribution, applauded the lawmaker for his special concern to women in the area. Jamilu Ibrahim Gusau has more.
The donation of empowerment materials worth millions of naira to women by the member representing Anka Talata Mafara Federal Constituency in Zamfara State, Alhaji Lawal Danya, is obviously in recognition of the vital role the women folk play in the political, social and economic development of the area. The donation includes 1,000 sewing machines and 500 goats. Wife of Zamfara State Governor Hajia Asmao Abdulaziz Yari, who flagged up the distribution of the items in Talata Mafara, applauded the lawmaker for what she described as special recognition he gives to women in his constituency and enjoined other political office holders on the state to emulate him in that direction. Emir of Mafara, represented by Galadima of Mafara Alhaji Malami Kigu, who underscored the importance of empowering women in any society, expressed optimism that the assistance will go a long way in improving the socio-economic well-being of women in the constituency. Wife of the lawmaker and that of the speakers of the State House of Assembly and the State Commissioner for Women and Children Affairs, among other dignitaries, joined the governor's wife to present the items to the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries prayed Allah to reward the lawmaker abundantly and pledged to make the best use of the assistance for their betterment. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
No hiding place for criminals as Oyo Police Command mops up arms and parade crime suspects. Let us link up with Kemi in our Ibadan studios for more details. It's over to you, Kemi.
Thank you, Asmao. Good afternoon and welcome to Ibadan. Officers of the Nigerian Army have been told to see their duty as a call from God and service to humanity. General Officer Commanding 2 Division Nigerian Army, Major General Okudili Azinta, said this at the celebration of West African social activities. Respondent Rofia Nimashao Badmos has details.
As part of its activities to mark the successful end of 2017, 2 Division Nigerian Army organized West African social activities to celebrate officers, soldiers, their families, and civilian friends to dine and interact socially. The event was meant to foster and promote unity amongst different ethnic groups within the barracks and the immediate host communities. General Officer Commanding 2 Division Nigerian Army, Major General Okudili Azinta, said the event was to mark the end of training and operation for the year 2017.
National Oyo State has remained the most peaceful in the country. This is as a result of the synergy between the Nigerian Army, the government, and the people of the region, as well as the higher level of interagency cooperation between various stakeholders in the security sector.
Oyo State Governor Abiola Jimobi represented assured officers and soldiers of the division of continuous cooperation and support of the state government.
They should not be discouraged because they are paying a sacrifice for Nigeria and they are definitely going to get the reward for it.
Varieties of activities such as cultural displays, dances, songs, jokes, and fog of war competitions. It also featured donations to the families of fallen heroes who lost their lives in the fight against insurgents and other internal security operations. In Ibadan, Wafia Animashaun Badmos, NTA.
A total of 1,018 illegal firearms and ammunition have been recovered by the Oyo State Police Command. Correspondent Rofia Animashaun Badmos again reports.
Worried by the proliferation of firearms in different parts of the country, the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, has directed all state commissioners of police to embark on mopping up and recovery of prohibited firearms and ammunition in circulation. Commissioner of Police, Oyo State Command, Abiodun Odude, said the exercise has been successful. A good number of arms and ammunition were recovered from different parts of the state within a short period. He added that a total of 29 arms, 31 live cartridges were recovered during mop-up exercise, while a total of 149 arms and 709 ammunition were recovered from armed bandits recently.
Exercise, though ongoing, has been very successful, and a cache of such arms and ammunition were recovered from different parts of the state within a short period. Some of the arms recovered during the mop-up exercise, while others were recovered from armed bandits.
He said that 5 more notorious armed robber kidnap gang have been arrested in connection with kidnapping and armed robbery in Igbeti, Igboho, and other parts of Okiogun. In Ibadan, Wafia Animation Badmus, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. Now back to Ronke in Abuja.
Thank you, Kemi. And more on security. Jigawa Police Command has successfully seized and recovered more than 130 prohibited firearms from suspected criminals and individuals in the state. Police Commissioner Bala Zama Senchi said the mop-up exercise is in compliance with the Inspector General's directives to secure the country against proliferation of firearms. Ibrahim Sani reports.
The mop-up exercise embarked by Jigawa Police Command tends to tackle the proliferations of firearms that has direct bearing on the current security challenge prevalent in most parts of the country. In the course of firearms recovery, 3 AK-47 rifles, 2 AK-56 rifles, in addition to 3 locally fabricated rifles were recovered. Also recovered were 1 Dicon pistol, 1 pump-action machine gun, 5 locally made pistols, and 119 locally made guns. Police Commissioner Jigawa said Balaza Masanchi emphasized that most of the recovered firearms were voluntarily surrendered by the owners, restating the command's readiness to re-aim by great effort to push out others who failed to do so.
We have recovered some of these weapons. Some were mopped up from individuals, and we also recovered some of the arms from criminals who have been terrorizing the state. It is of note that Jigawa State Command is a peaceful command, but that does not mean that criminals don't also operate. They do.
The police commissioner enjoined people in the state to continue to support security agencies to safeguard lives and property of the citizenry. From Dutse, Ibrahim Sani, NTA News.
Still on security, the Nigerian army has arrested 6 suspected cattle rustlers with 30 stolen cows in the Mambila Plateau, Taraba State. Joseph Othain reports that the Operation No More Criminals launched in the area is already yielding positive results.
The Nigerian army has maintained its stand on the Mambila Plateau to curtail the lingering crisis there and recover stolen property. The military operation, which is tagged Operation No More Criminals, has started yielding positive results with the successful arrest of 6 suspected cattle rustlers with 30 rustled cows. Parading the suspects in Mayo Ndaga, the commanding officer 20 Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Muhammad Sani Adamu, said the crisis in the area has been hijacked by criminal elements who are taking advantage of the unrest to steal people's animals and other properties. The commanding officer stressed that the criminals cut across tribes and religion, considering the fact that the arrested suspects comprise of both the Mambilas and Fulanis. He directed for immediate setting up of a committee by the stakeholders for identification of the rightful owners of the recovered cows for collection.
On receipt of the information of stolen cows, we directed our men to carry out a cordon and search operation, and not just only recovering the cows, We also found the people that rustled the cows, and these were some of the evidence that were seen in their hands inside their rooms.
Since this crisis occurred, at least I would say 1 month ago, the military are giving us good cooperation, and if we, the villages, if we had an information, we used to give them, and we used to work hand in hand with them.
The suspects, who had already slaughtered some of the cows, have been handed over to the State Police Command for prosecution. From the Mambila Plateau, Joseph Sound Otsen, NTA News.
It's time for another break. Nationwide continues shortly.
Of all people.
Thanks for staying with us this far on Nationwide. Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission has clarified its position on the salaries and allowances payable to senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A statement signed by Ibrahim Mohammed, spokesman of the Commission, says law on salaries and allowances of public office holders is very clear. And as such, it is only the management of the National Assembly Service Commission that can explain the 13.5 billion naira running cost allegedly being enjoyed by each senator as salary and allowances, but not running cost. The statement further reads that a closer look at the monthly entitlement of senators reveals that each senator collects salary and allowances of the sum of 1,063,860 naira. Just to take more stories on security now. Peace and security have been restored to the 7 local government areas previously battling cattle rustling and kidnapping in Katsina State. Mohammed Salisu Awal has the details.
During the media parley, Governor Aminu Bello Masari responded to questions bordering on state security, education and social development. On security, the governor says, as a result of government engagement with leaders of the cattle rustlers, peace and security has been restored in the 7 most security volatile local government areas in the state. He said since inception of his administration, 700 primary and secondary schools have been constructed and 2,400 were being renovated. Katsina State, says the governor, is emulating the federal government policy of direct youth empowerment with a program it called S-Power, where NCE graduates will be employed to teach in the state schools.
So Katsina State has to compete with other states of the Federation. Katsina State individuals have to compete internationally, they have to compete within. So even if they cannot compete here in Nigeria, because then there's a problem. So I think if only we can revive and restore the education center of Katsina, what it used to be, I think we have done so much for Katsina, because with education the sky is the limit.
In Katsina, Mohammed Salis Awal, NTA News.
Another break beckons. Join us again. Let's quickly catch up with some happenings around the globe. Uche Uwizu is our guide.
A warm welcome. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has suspended a deal with the United Nations to give residency to thousands of African migrants in exchange for Western nations resettling the same number. Hours after announcing the deal, he put the plan on hold, saying he would speak with residents of South Tel Aviv, where many migrants live. The arrangement, which replaced a plan for mass deportation to Africa, had drawn opposition from within his governing coalition. Malaysia has approved a law against fake news. Under the new law, offenders will back 6 years in jail, disregarding critics who say it was aimed at curbing dissent and free speech ahead of a general election. The government, however, explained that the law would not infringe on freedom of speech and cases under it will be handled through an independent court process. In a related development, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has ordered the withdrawal of an order that sought to punish journalists accused of fake news. The earlier announcement by the Minister of Information that the government would suspend the accreditation of journalists found producing fake news had drawn widespread condemnation. The order had also proposed amended guidelines for obtaining accreditation, a move Indian journalists and editors, described as an attack on press. And France's rail network has been severely disrupted as a wave of strikes against President Emmanuel Macron's labor reforms gets underway. The start of the strike has been dubbed Black Tuesday, but the action will spread over 3 months, affecting 2 days in every 5. The unrest presents Macron's biggest challenge since his election in May 2017. That's our package from here. I am Uche Mwizu. The news continues.
Governor Shettima sympathizes with victims of Boko Haram attacks as first batch of Bama IDPs return. Let's hear from Naomi in Maiduguri Network Center. Hello, Naomi.
And a warm welcome to Maiduguri. Borno State government has flagged off the first phase of the relocation process of the internally displaced persons from Bama local government area of Borno State. The community was hit by Boko Haram insurgency. The ceremony was presided over by the state governor, Kashim Shettima, assisted by the Shehu of Bama and other stakeholders of the area. Muhammad Guni reports.
Prior to the official flag-up, Governor Kashim Shettima had visited Bama, where the brigade commander, headquarters of the 21 Brigade Bama, Colonel Adamunura, briefed him on the security situation of the area, which he described as calm. In an emotion-laden voice, Governor Kashim Shettima recalled with nostalgia that once an economic nerve center, Bama was reduced to ghosts of itself. He stressed commitment to put all necessary measures in place to return the people to normal life. Also assess our trenches to secure the township and the 5,000 bags each of rice and maize grains. SEMA Executive Chairperson Yabawa Kolo said 5,000 jerrycans of oil, 20,000 blankets and mattresses have been procured for the returning IDPs, and further informed that 100 tricycles have been procured to empower the poorest of the poor. For the first 4 years, IDPs from Bama have been taking refuge in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, and elsewhere, having been compelled to flee their home community. When that moment eventually came, their joy knew no bounds, with men and women, young and old, jubilating. The excitement could not allow for the usual formal remarks, and the governor joined the returnees in the vehicle to bid them farewell in an atmosphere full of emotion. The returnees were full of gratitude to the Borno State government for making their dreams a reality.
The IDPs from Bama are so excited that they are returning to normal life. They are saying this is a good omen, and they are looking forward to a better tomorrow. In Maiduguri, Muhammad Goni, NTA News.
Victims of the recent suicide attacks on 4 villages of Jere local government area of Borno State, now receiving medical attention at the Maiduguri Specialist Hospital, are said to be responding to treatment when Governor Kashim Shettima visited the hospital. Again, Muhammad Guni reports.
Governor Shettima was received on arrival by the Chief Medical Director, Dr. Laraba Bello, who informed the governor that 74 victims were brought to the hospital with various degrees of injury. 20 of the victims were treated and discharged. 3 were referred to UMTH, while 2 died, adding that the remaining ones are receiving treatment for various injuries sustained during the attack.
They are targeting soft targets, senselessly, criminally opening fire on innocent souls. We witnessed that very sad episode. We'll continue to intensify our efforts to safeguard lives and properties. We have been talking to the security agencies.
Governor Shettima described the incident as sad, stressing that government will continue to support the security agencies to safeguard lives and property. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Theatre Kabanda Operation Lafia Duli, Major General Rogers Nicholas has inaugurated a 4-man committee to unravel the circumstances surrounding last Sunday night insurgency attacks on some villages on the outskirts of Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Maimuna Garba reports.
It could be recalled that last Sunday, Boko Haram terrorists, in an attempt to penetrate Maiduguri metropolis through Baleshua, Balekura, and Alikaramti villages, unleashed terror on the communities. The attack was repelled by the military, which led to the death of 19 people, 7 suicide bombers, and over 70 persons sustained injuries. Consequently, Theatre Commander Operation Lafia Dole, Major General Rogers Nicholas said the four-man committee inaugurated are to visit scenes of the attacks and come up with a vivid report within 3 days.
The Theatre Command has therefore finally to set up an inquiry to unravel what happened, why it happened, and why, and ways to make sure that such things don't happen. Tie this up with the state government effort made on this.
The theatre commander called on residents in the northeast Nigeria to continue to assist the military with vital information in their areas, stressing that efforts of troops have curtailed the Sunday night attacks from becoming more disastrous. He also admonished residents to always remain indoors during such attacks as the only way to prevent massive casualties. Chairman of the committee, Brigadier General Henry Tepida Wesley, assured to work assiduously to meet the deadline. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
That does it from here. Is back to Ronke in Abuja. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too, Naomi. Thank you. And to sports now. Nigerians hope that Team Nigeria will do the nation proud as the Commonwealth Games on Wednesday. Let's take a quick preview of Nigeria's participation at the Games, and Daniel Adiriye is our guide. For the international news, I am Ronke Kolawole.